All right, Michael in Florida. How can we help you today?
Hey guys, how are you all doing?
Doing good. What's up?
Great. Well, I wanted to call in because there was something that I've kind of been thinking about, and it started when I went on a date a while ago, and it was fun and everything. It lasted for some good time, got to know the other person well, but I noticed after it was over and just thinking about it more and talking to my therapist about it is I tend to overanalyze a lot of things. And in this scenario, it was about overanalyzing like what I'm wearing or what I say, what kind of vibe I give off, like so many different things, like where to go, what I should do. And I noticed that it's not just with the dating, but I tend to overanalyze other things too, like in other social situations, like what should I say, what should I do? And so kind of my question that I want to ask you all is, how does overanalyzing things affect relationships? And for someone who tends to overanalyze a lot, like how do you break that habit of not having to analyze everything?
That is a great question, and I'm seeing Rags doing a lot of head nodding over there, so I'm going to pass it over to you.
Yeah, I'm very much a hyper aware person, and honestly, full disclosure, I'm not a mental health professional, and it sounds like you're talking to a therapist. That is a really, really positive step. But I would say more than anything else, it sounds like you are aware of when you start to run away with yourself, even if you catch it a little bit after the fact. You go, oh, okay, I'm keying into this a little bit too much. This is carrying a little bit too much weight. It's taking up all of my cognitive load, and it's bothering me that it's taken up this much. That's a great place to be, because that's a place where you can start taking positive steps to let go of that thing. And that's a process, and we're never going to be perfect at it. I know that from talking to my own therapist. And if you're dealing with somebody who is very open to kind of where you're at in life, being as open with them as you're being with us right now is, again, a really great place to start. I mean, you're talking to somebody that bought a shirt today at 6 o'clock in the morning because I was like, they told me that my blue shirt blended in too much to my background, and then they're not going to think that I'm a professional. Like, I do it about everything, I'm just hyper analytical, very, very self-aware. So more than anything, I just want to say that I empathize with where you're at. And for me, doing a little bit of mindfulness meditation, especially in the beginning of the day, to sort of take inventory so I don't sneak up on myself, has helped. And if you're not familiar with mindfulness meditation, just doing a little bit of breathing rhythmically and sort of walking through your own body and going, oh, I'm more stressed out, like, or, oh, my brain keeps going places and I can't just focus on my breathing for 15 seconds. I'm already keyed up. This might be a tough day for me, but now I know what's going on, so I can kind of treat myself a little bit more gently. Those sorts of tools have worked out really well for me. And, but more than anything else, especially because when you're on a date, there's such a heightened sense of every move that you make. And that relative weighting of, all of the things we want to put onto the idea of dating someone or forming a relationship, that you walk away noticing that you held your salad fork weird, or that like maybe you didn't order the right kind of beer, or that maybe like you said, I like this song and they didn't say anything. And what does that mean? And like all of those weird little idiosyncratic things that you go, and then all of a sudden you're an hour and a half into like this conversation with yourself that no one else is having. Like, I've been there. And I think more than anything, the fact that you're willing to kind of recognize like, oh, I'm over analyzing this. That's the most helpful thing. That is more helpful than any piece of advice that any individual person can give you, because that's a sign of growth. Because it's no longer that you believe that narrative. It's that you recognize that that narrative may or may not be false, and you're willing to kind of give it a second look. So just be kind to yourself, take a step back, keep working with your therapist. And you know what? As much as we can, as much as you feel comfortable and as much as I feel comfortable, we should normalize this kind of thing, because there are lots and lots and lots of us out there that do this. And it's not even that we do it and other people don't. It's that maybe we're a little bit more aware of it, and possibly somebody like you or me might do it a little bit more often than somebody else would. But everybody gets in their own heads. So you're doing fine. And wherever you're at right now, just maybe take a second to pat yourself on the back and be like, hey, I recognized this, and I reached out to somebody, and I'm regularly talking to somebody about it. Like, those are all super positive steps. And then, of course, you're the expert on you, and you've decided to trust your therapist. So like, you guys double team this problem, because there's nothing that you can't handle without or with a group of friends.
Damn, Rags, can you be on the show more often? It's just like, you need to jump on here
that speaks to
regularly.
my heart. Like, that's,
Yeah.
I've lived with that for so long, and I hopefully I wasn't speaking for you, Michael. And then
Michael,
there I
what
go.
did you think?
Oh,
Sorry.
no, definitely not. No, I'll say this, though. I really liked how you said that being self-aware of your own behavior is the best, like, is better than any advice that anybody else could give you, because with advice, it's kind of a hit or miss thing where it depends on whether the other person's willing to listen. So you can give advice to someone, but if that person's not willing to listen, it's just going to bounce off their heads. But like, for that other person to come to that conclusion on their own is a really good step. And, frankly, it's the start of them changing their behavior.
Yeah. And one thing I can say from my own experience is, you sound like you're a fairly well-spoken person, and that you present yourself well. And I know from my own experience that people tend to buy my bullshit because I present it well. And even though my own perception of myself is way, way out there, they just buy it. They're like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. And then that sort of feeds back into my own narrative. So like, also, being like that moment of self-awareness where you go, I'm making this into a bigger deal than it is so important, because that gives you a chance to reframe it, not just for yourself, but for your close friends and your therapist, and be honest with your therapist, but like, to reframe the way that you're looking at it. And that's super important. It sounds like you're doing the work.
Wonderful. Awesome. Michael, thank you so much for calling in. We are going to have to move on to the next call just to wrap up. But I really, really hope that what Rag said spoke to you, and definitely call back. I think this is a conversation worth having in more depth as well.
Absolutely.
I just argue with strangers on the internet.
Definitely. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Michael.
Bye.